You're listening to Unlocked, Your Career by Design with Samantha Florence, Fortune 100 executive, billion-dollar business leader, and founder of Powerhouse Code. Here, you'll discover how to build authority, attract opportunities, and lead with authentic presence. If you're ready to claim your spotlight and step into your next level, you're in the right place. Let's unlock your career by design. When is the last time that you reached out to someone in your network? Today, I am going to share 2 success stories with you with fantastic professionals, ambitious women who thought that they had to find their next job on LinkedIn. Turns out it was in their network all along. And this is something that I keep hammering, especially as an introvert. Tap into the power of your network. And so whenever I bring the subject of networking and being more visible on LinkedIn and elevate you with my powerhouse professionals that are part of my group, they say, well, Sam, I'm just not a type of person that posts on LinkedIn daily, or I don't want to be a LinkedIn influencer. Now, let me ask you a question. When you post on LinkedIn, does that automatically mean that you're an influencer or that you have to be an influencer? What would it look like if when you do post on LinkedIn, it's to update your network on what you're doing, the great things that you have been working on? So 2 misconceptions I see with the LinkedIn posting is that number 1, there is this belief that if you're visible on LinkedIn, some way, somehow, you're in the game of bragging, tooting your own horn, shining too brightly, and that doesn't necessarily have to be the case. We live in a time where everybody is busy. And next to that, usually most people don't have time to catch up over coffee, to go out for dinner, etc., etc. So actually, if you think about how you use LinkedIn, how many times do you get updates from people in your network? And not random people that you've never met, but people you know, people you have worked with in the past, that you find out on LinkedIn that they're moving countries, or they're moving to a new role, or they started a charity, or they started a business. And so LinkedIn is actually a form of getting news and updates out of your network. And so I always encourage people, professionals, to utilize LinkedIn. There's different ways to use LinkedIn. Yes, you can be one of those people that posts every single day, but you don't have to be. Even if you post once a week or once a month to keep your network updated with what you're doing, that can already mean a world of difference. Because when your network knows what you're up to, what happens then? So when you update regularly and you know your network knows what you're doing, they can start bringing opportunities to you. That's the whole point of LinkedIn. It's not about, I'm looking for a job, or look at me, how fantastic I am, all the gold stars, shiny resume, polished profile, promotion here. Now, some people use it for that, but what would it look like? What if you start using it for updates, to share with your network, what have you been up to? You're moving to a new country. You're taking a leave. You're doing a world trip. You're starting your own company. You move to a different, there's so much value in it. So this episode is not about LinkedIn, but I'm thinking I might dedicate an episode to LinkedIn. The second thing I see happening is the misconception that if you start posting on LinkedIn, all of a sudden that you're an influencer, or you need to keep posting regularly, daily, weekly to keep up. You don't have to. When I post on LinkedIn, I don't post for the algorithm. I post to keep my network updated and informed with what I do. So the last time that I posted on LinkedIn, and this is interesting because I am an introvert, right? And so for me, it's much easier to build one-on-one relationships. And that is my superpower, actually. I'm a very good listener, and people consider me a business partner because I really listen, which is an underrated communication skill, by the way. And I build very deep, long-lasting relationships. In big crowds, however, it's extremely hard for me to speak up or be the center of attention because that's not my nature. However, I find that as an introvert, it's much easier for me to post on LinkedIn because in LinkedIn, I can gather my thoughts and I can digest that and communicate that in an almost long form post because I find LinkedIn is much more long form versus Instagram, for example, or Facebook. And so the interesting thing that started happening is in 2025, I posted much more often on LinkedIn and like unfiltered raw things on LinkedIn. And people started reaching out to me in my DMs, on my WhatsApp, at the office, at the cooler machine, and saying, "Oh, you're so visible on LinkedIn. You're so active on LinkedIn." And in my mind, I'm not active on LinkedIn at all. I post maybe once or twice a month. And the funny thing is that all these people that come up to me and say, "You're so active on LinkedIn. Please continue posting. I enjoy your posts." But then they're not posting. They're not even commenting on my posts, but they're also active, but in a different way. So they're checking out what other people are doing, keeping themselves updated, but they're not posting. The point I'm making here is that once you start posting on LinkedIn, updating your network with what you're doing, and it could be something small that does not seem big to you, it can spark something in somebody else, either inspire them to do something similar, or it can bring opportunities to you because they think of you saying, "Oh, I saw Jane that she's moving into a new venture, a new sector, a new industry. I know somebody, let me put her in contact." And so two very specific examples I want to share with you. One is I took a sabbatical in 2025. I took a 6-month parental leave and I was at the height of my career, 18 years of experience, senior director at Nike, leading $1 billion business. And when I took that decision, which took me a year to make, I kept on saying, "Can you really do this? Can you really step away from such a big job at a time, a very important period with lots of change and transformation going on? Can you do it or will it ruin and kill your career?" At the end of the day, when I took that decision because I prioritized at the time what was most important to me. And I thought, if I make it, not if, I will, when I make it to the end of my days and I'm lying on my deathbed, am I going to be sad about the 6 months that I wasn't in my career? Or am I going to regret the fact that I didn't take the sabbatical to begin with? Anyway, took the decision, did it anyway, thinking that I would be judged, thinking that I would sidetrack my career, all the things, posted on LinkedIn, and OMG, it blew up. It got reshared. I got the most comments I've ever gotten. And why is that? Because that post served as an inspiration to give others permission to do the same. And that's literally the feedback I got. If a senior director at Nike Digital, leading $1 billion business, can take 6 months off to focus on family and on herself, that means I can do it too. And again, I didn't post for the algorithm. I didn't post to flaunt or to brag because actually I was a bit ashamed. I was a bit embarrassed that I needed time away, that I needed time with my family. And so this was one of those moments when, when you write either an email or a post or whatever it is, and you hesitate, you see your index finger on that enter button, but it's not going through because you're doubting and you're thinking, is this the right thing to do? So anyway, I did it. I'm just giving this as an example because I got so much engagement and people reach out to me for that. The second one, this was a huge one, huge one, which I might dedicate an episode to if I think about it now. Yes, I'm not gonna tell you now. It's gonna be a cliffhanger. It's gonna be the next episode. Okay. Why am I saying all of this? Because I get so many professionals that are on LinkedIn daily. They're watching what positions have been posted. They're reaching out, not hearing anything, or they get to the interview and they're not successful. Now, This happens often, and then I walk them through the Powerhouse Blueprint, and then they get a role. However, I have had 2 occasions in the past 2 weeks with Elevate You members that tapped into their network and got offered roles that weren't even posted. Number 1 is somebody who she was at a company, at a big firm, a Big Four accounting firm that also does consulting. And she felt that she had reached a plateau in her career, that her career was stagnating, that her leaders were using her insights and her knowledge, and she was never invited to the client meetings. So she would do all the work, she would do all the research, she would prepare all the presentations, and I'm talking about senior manager level. So not an analyst, not an intern, senior manager with decades of experience doing fantastic work. However, she was never invited to the client meetings. Well, all her work was being used. Also, when she wanted to post her insights and her knowledge on LinkedIn, she was being filtered. Everything had to be checked before. So anyway, as you can imagine, she was not in a good place. And so she started exploring. When she joined Elevate You, she wanted to make promotion to director, from senior manager to director. So we started working on that route. But then as she went through the program, she realized, what if I start exploring what else is out there? Now, this is the thing what happens, right? Most often professionals join and then they leave with a completely different way and context of looking at the world. So she tapped into her network. She reached out to somebody that was her manager 7 years ago. So she didn't have any contact with this person for 7 whole years. And when she joined, her question was, how do I build a network? How do I get more people in my orbit without having to send like 20 requests a day, et cetera, et cetera? Anyway, she reached out to this person that she hadn't spoken to in 7 years. However, they have worked very closely in the past. So this is 10 to 7 years ago. So she reached out, shared where she was at in her career, all the great things she has been doing over in Europe, because she's originally from Southeast Asia, all the great things she has been doing in Europe, and boom, within a month, she spoke to a few partners at her contacts firm, and she got offered a role. She actually got offered 2 roles. 2 roles that weren't even posted. And I keep hammering the point that if you want a different outcome for your career, if you want a different result, you need to start doing different things. Because the things that you're doing that brought you to where you are today are going to keep you stuck where you are today. It's going to stall your career. It's going to stagnate your career. Now, I don't shoot the messenger. I am just handing it unfiltered. Because if you are serious about progressing your career, you need to hear this. Anyway, fast forward, within a month, she spoke to a couple of partners, rekindled the contact with her manager of 7 years ago, and she got offered 2 roles. So now all of a sudden, she had options. So the question wasn't anymore, how can I turn around the situation when I work, get noticed, get recognized, be invited to client meetings, and get promoted to director? No, the question became, how do I work on my career equity? And how can I continue to be of value? And does it have to be at my current employer? So her current employer, Big Four accounting and consulting firm, lost a fantastic professional who not only delivered so much value for that company, but is also somebody who is focused on her growth and focused on elevating her leadership profile. Boom, lost, gone to the competitor, actually, with 2 offers. Then the other example I have is also somebody who joined Elevate You at another big accounting and consulting firm who got passed over for promotion 3 times. Can you imagine what it's like to be passed over for promotion 3 times, and when you ask for the feedback, you don't get anything that you can do about. So her feedback was positive. Keep doing what you're doing. The work is fine. But then when she was asking, okay, what's the reason that I was not considered for promotion? Then she doesn't get a specific, tangible answer that she can do anything with. So it was the same. She was thinking she joined Elevate You because she wanted to build a magnetic brand. She wanted to work on a presence. She wanted to understand the unwritten rules of the game of career progression so she could position herself and be ready for the next promotion. Because at her company, every 6 months, there's a promotion. So that's just the way it works. Anyway, during the program, again, she realized, hold on a minute. I bring so much value to this company and they don't even recognize it and they don't even value it. So where she was at, she was just exploring. Let me see what else is out there. So I broadened my context. And don't only focus on that one promotion and put all my eggs in that one basket. So she got invited to an interview and she went in so relaxed, she said, because her goal was not specifically to land the job or to, over prepare, but her role was go in as a business partner and have the dialogue as to, is this a company I see myself working at? Because it's a two-way street. So I'm not here to sell. She didn't go in thinking I need to sell myself to get the job. She went in thinking, hey, it's also on me to make a decision whether this is a good fit. So she went in relaxed, did not over prepare, did not overthink. Normally, she would spend days preparing for interviews. She went in the most relaxed and, in her words, unprepared, meaning that she did not spend 3-4 days preparing for interviews. And she landed the role because she went in with a different mindset in a different context. She did not go in to sell herself. Because when you find yourself at that point that you have to sell yourself, that's not the best place for you. You want to go in as a business partner, as an equal, and have a dialogue. Because as much as the hiring manager and the company is exploring whether you're a good fit, you should also be exploring whether the company is a good fit for you. Okay? So that's the second example, but it gets better because after that, she's in the AI consulting world. And after that, she went to a meetup and she shared about her work and what she focuses on, the type of project she worked on at a consulting firm, et cetera, et cetera. And then the organizer of that AI meetup ended up again offering her a position that wasn't even posted after meeting her for 30 minutes. And ladies and gentlemen, I cannot stress enough the time that you are, I don't want to say waste, that you are dedicating, surfing the internet, surfing LinkedIn, looking for open positions. How about you use even a tiny bit of the time to tap into your network? If you're listening to that podcast, that means you probably have more than 5 years of experience, probably more than 10 years of experience, potentially more than 15 years of experience. And I'm also guessing that you haven't been in the same company for all that time because it's 2026. Very few people stay at the same company all that time. Or if you are the same company, because at Nike, some people work 20, 25, 30 years, then you have had colleagues who moved on to different companies. Tap into your network. If there's one action for this week, reach out to someone, one person that you had a fantastic working relationship with in the past. This person could have been your manager. They could have been a superior, another leader, even a peer. Tap into your network. And the more years in between, the better, because then it really feels like you're connecting. So tap into your network, not with the objection of getting a new role or getting something out of that person, but with the objection of what else is out there. And the people that I've worked with closely in the past, where are they now? What are they doing? What are they seeing? And just follow that path and see what happens. And worst case scenario, which in my mind is really a good case, is that you reconnect with somebody that you appreciate working with in the past. And the second best case scenario, like the two examples that I gave, my powerhouse leaders, you get offered roles that aren't even posted or exist yet. That's even the better scenario. Now, this happened in the same week. That's a synchronicity right there. But honestly, if there's anything you take away from this episode, what would it look like if you don't spend all of your waking hours working on that project, that deliverable, that PowerPoint presentation or keynote if you're a Mac user, and take half an hour out of your week and reach out to somebody that you worked with closely in the past and rekindle that connection and see where it goes. So that's my challenge for you this week. Tap into your network, because even if it wouldn't result in an opportunity right now, your name is back on their radar and they can think of you when something does pop up. Okay? That's how we do it. See you in the next episode. You have been listening to Unlocked Your Career by Design with Samantha Florence. If today's episode sparked something, here's your next step. Follow the show and leave a 5-star review. That's how we reach more ambitious women ready to break barriers. And if you know a colleague or friend who needs this, share it with them, because lifting one woman lifts us all. Until next week, keep owning your spotlights.